If I were to name two important texts from English literature about the Anglo Indian encounter or the encounter between Europeans and Indians in general, perhaps the two most important texts that I have in mind would be corroborated by most of you. These are Rudyard Kipling's Kim and, after a few years, E.M. Forster's Passage to India. These two texts need to be studied thoroughly by students of English literature, especially from India or the Indian subcontinent, because when Kipling was writing about India, or even when Forster was writing about India, it was an undivided India which included, you know, what forms part of Bangladesh or Pakistan today. Now, if I look at the novels, Kim, so far as Kim is concerned, you know, Kipling represents Kim as someone who is part of India but then again who remains at some distance from it for a strange reason of his Irish origins, European origins. And over and above everything else, there is an imperial ego at work in Kipling much more than any other English author. In fact, it is quite well known that Kipling is generally seen as the representative of the imperial ethos of English literature in particular, or even European literature. White man's burden. He was the one to coin the phrase. But when we come to Forster, due to certain other things, and possibly it was due to uh, his alternative trajectories of love and affiliation, we find a great sympathy for India, and he approaches India with much more of an insider's eye than Kipling. But unfortunately, again, the point remains the same, that finally he too cannot fully identify with India. And yes, it's natural for a non Indian not to identify with India fully, but then what is important is he puts it on record in words like that the East is East and the West is West, and never shall the twain meet. There was a kind of deep friendship growing between uh, Fielding and Dr. Aziz, the representative European and Indian characters in that novel. But then finally, it's not allowed to grow into its full maturity, whatever it would have come to. And the precise reason is the imperial politics and poetics of power did not allow a European writer to show an Englishman or an European and an Indian commingle with each other to the fullest, exploring all possibilities. So, colonialism, in other words, was also deeply a case of racism in several ways. And both these novels, in a lesser or a greater degree, are symptomatic of both these aspects, racism and colonialism. And perhaps it will motivate you to reread these novels, or if you haven't read it already, to read it. It was a short video, but perhaps a useful one. Thank you.